Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another Real Talk video. I pray y'all are still having a wonderful, blessed day as we thank the Most High Yah for so much. My title now says, I quit waiting on the preacher. I had quit waiting on the preacher. This is a video response back to you, Mega 46. Powerful email. And I want to use this title, I quit waiting on the preacher. You asked me, how did I start learning what I learned now? And I'm going to just be real with you, brother. It wasn't in no church building. I had to get out of the church building and start studying on my own. I had to quit waiting on the preacher. And I don't mean no disrespect toward any pastor, any preacher that's looking at this video. I'm just speaking from my experience and how I had to quit waiting on the preacher. Because the true things that we really need to know in a lot of churches, I didn't say all, but in a lot, it's just not being taught. That's why on my page, you see me covering so many topics that we wondered about growing up, like who we are, where did these fallen angels really come from, what did they do, how did we come up with giants? You know, questions that in church, or you start talking about Revelation, they wouldn't even dare touch it, but not all once again. So I had to get past the preacher, especially when I started studying it. It's something that Paul told Timothy that's when I learned that, it's been with me ever since I learned it. When he told Timothy to study to show yourself approved, approving unto not man, but to the Most High Yah. And that's something a lot of people are not doing on their own, is studying. And when you study on your own, you don't wait on the preacher. You don't wait on the pastor. I tell people this all the time. If you just going to church 1 or 2 days out of the week and you call that serving the Most High, then you still lost. Because it's so much to learn, it's so much to understand that this walk is a daily walk. I love the word, and that's why I'm going to keep saying this in this video. I had to quit waiting on the pastor, the preacher. I had to get past the preacher. I had a whole lot of bad experiences in my life growing up dealing with these church buildings. And most of them are stuck in traditions of men, religion, titles, building funds, you know, so many things that they've been doing for years and years and years. And once again, I mean this with no disrespect, but the truth hurt. And I was caught up in that. I can say this about myself, and I don't have no problem telling the world that I was caught up in the building. I didn't know who I was. I didn't even know what my name was. I was just watching what everybody else done because that's what they taught us. Just like down here in Dallas, Texas, you have these Bible institutes, we can say like Southern Bible. Most preachers that come out of seminary school are taught to pretty much teach the same way. You know, and I mean this out of love once again, no disrespect, but it's rarely a few that I know that have came from a Bible Institute school and have really got away from what they was taught and started coming into the truth. Because when you start talking about true identity in Israel, or Israel, some may pronounce, this stuff is not taught in most churches. And it's sad because years and years and years, generations and generations done passed, and it's still a lot of things that's not being taught. So once I got past waiting on the preacher, the Most High Yah opened my eyes to so many things. And I had to pretty much forget everything I was taught growing up because it was just a bunch of lies. It was just tradition. And another thing that I love that the word says, that the traditions of men makes the word of the Most High Yah void. And when you start really looking at all the stuff that you was taught growing up, well, at least let me say this for my life. What I was taught growing up, then none of the stuff really match up. You start looking at the true Israel, and you start looking at the timetable of the Most High, you start looking at holy days, not holidays, it just blows your mind. You start looking at identity, you start looking at the names, you start looking at how you really supposed to live. It blows your mind. So once again, in my title, I said I had to quit waiting on the preacher. I had to get past the preacher because the preacher wasn't preaching. They wasn't preaching. You hear a few stories. See, I'm trying to end this video, but there's so much I want to say in this video. Y'all just bear with me. But my problem with so many of these Baptist churches is that these preachers love to hoop and holler, to sing, to get the crowd jumping, to make whoever on the organ, bag them up, jump 2 or 3 different keys, modulate to this key. It's sad because I see how that's killing so many people spiritually. And I'm not knocking hooping and hollering. You can hoop and holler and talk about something, you teaching the truth, amen. But this hooping and hollering and running around, shouting, all you preaching and they ain't preaching, this stuff just a bunch of mess. I heard people say he can preach, she can preach, and then we listen to them, it's like all they did was song a verse. All they did was hooped and hollered, and they wasn't even telling the truth when somebody shouting out, yeah, preach, pastor, because they are being entertained. I'm not talking about all pastors once again. If you just happen to be a pastor looking at this video, I mean the utmost respect to you, but y'all know just like I know, man, everybody is not teaching. See, it's a difference between teaching and preaching. I'll leave that alone though, but when you truly teach, when you get a pastor that can truly teach, a lot of people don't want to accept it. They don't want to hear it because they've been so used to the traditional way of, well, you got to get tuned up. It's just, they teach you that if you're not singing and hooping and hollering, you really not preaching. And I disagree with that. Our Savior taught in parables. When you look at the way they preached and warned in the Bible times versus what we see now, it's just a lot of entertainment going on there. The same way with the singing. And that's why when I got out of the church building, I'm going to just say this was probably about 15 years ago. I took a pause. I'm going to say a delay. I took a big amount of time of getting out of the building. And when I got out the building, once again, my eyes were open. Because there's so much wrongdoing and false teaching in the building. I'm not knocking nobody building. That my eyes got so open that from that point on up to now and forever till I die, I'm going to continue to study on my own. That's another reason why you need to study, because you need to know whoever's preaching to you, how you know if they're not lying. See, especially in our race, so many of us are waiting on the preacher to do everything. I'm waiting on Bible study. Why you don't have Bible study in your home? See, me and my baby, we have Bible study all the time. It's in my mind. She might pop off with a question and we go to a whole nother level, because once you start talking about the word, some of y'all know what I'm talking about, that's exciting to me. It's just, you can't leave it alone. You'll have a conversation for about 5 or 6 hours without even thinking about it. The time frame, I mean. And I love the word, and that's why I have to have it every day. I didn't used to be like this, y'all. That's why I'm talking about me in this video. I was never like this. Y'all remember that old video I said my purpose was not, my purpose was to get on YouTube and teach piano and songs. I never knew when I started that the Most High, Yah, was going to have me doing this right here. That's why I'm not stuck on doing piano tutorials no more, because I've put up enough stuff for people to learn. So my job now is to put up this word. And it took my Heavenly Father showing me that. Y'all remember that old video I did, the The Most High, y'all told me to stop doing tutorials because I had so many followers. But when I started talking about the word, most of those followers dropped along the wayside. Oh man, he not teaching the piano no more. They benefited off me all they could, and they left me. But I'm saying it in a good way. I wasn't worried about who left me. I'm not your savior, no way. I'm just a messenger. But to the ones that truly was musicians, and they still here, like Brother P.P. Jones on here, a.k.a. known as Brother Rodney, that brother didn't care about me not doing tutorials no more. He encouraged me more to do the word because he understood that I got past waiting on the preacher. Pastors who are real do a dynamic job, but to me a lot of times too many people make their job harder because they won't study on their own. They have so many questions, and with all this access to the internet, all this Google and stuff you can look up, you can type in any question and I guarantee you'll have a long list of it. But the problem is, once again, most of us just do not want to study. We rather accept what we was brought up in and taught all our life, not even checking to see if that was right. Most people I know now, you ask them what church you go to, and they name the church, and you just happen to say, well, why are you Baptist? Why are you AME? Why are you CME? Why are you Pentecostal? Why are you Kojic? Why you this? Why you that? Because that's what I was brought up in. That's what my daddy was. My grandpa been at this church for such and such years, so I was brought up in this church. But was you brought up in the body? Was you brought up in the true word of the Most High, or was you brought up in tradition? See, a lot of people know how to follow tradition, but a lot of people don't know how to follow Yahweh. Yahuwah, like we just talked about in the last video. Yahusha. You don't be being taught this type of stuff. See, I had to get past the preachers just to even, talk about what I'm talking about now. And you know what they call me now? Man, you crazy. Why you say that? Why you say that? Where you get that from? Who taught you that? Kind of like when they asked Paul, where you get this from? What you talking about? And he had to let them know, I was chosen by the Most High. And Paul set up on the Gamaliel, I think that was his name, Gamaliel. He set up on his feet. And Paul had to pretty much go against all that he was taught by that man to see the truth. The Most High showed us with Paul. He had to be blinded for 3 days, I believe. He couldn't see. That Damascus Road experience woke Paul up. And a lot of people didn't like it because they wanted to keep remembering him as who he was as Saul. Because he was the great persecutor of the Christians. But when the Most High changed your name, when he changed you, he'll change your name. Just like Jacob was changed to Israel. Or once again, some may pronounce it Israel. You have a new name, a new start. He slayed his wife clean. So it no longer was Saul, it was Paul. Simon, Peter, Abraham, Abram, Sarah, Sariah. So it's just names, once again, was very important in the Most High's word. Even though we don't think it a lot of times, but it is, That's why he shows us so much. So once I got past the preacher, once again, when I started hearing word from different pastors, I was able to recognize what was real and what was false. You start having a different outlook completely about the Bible. So y'all, I'm not going to make this video too much longer. I just wanted to answer your question, brother, why I got what I got now. It's all glory to the Most High. I didn't do this on my own. And I had a couple of people along the way, like Minister Robinson. One day I'm going to be able to get that man on camera. That's who I learned so much from. And we had so much Bible study at home, at his house, over here. So I had to get away from the pastors, the preachers. And once I started, once again, really studying on my own, then I was able to link up with so many people that was been trying to tell me so many different things from years, because I had to get out of religion and get in true studying. It never was about religion. The Most High didn't even invent religion. A lot of people don't get that. We know where religion came from. Read means to bind again. And that's why so many people are still binded. They may be out here free in the world and not in the penitentiary, but they spiritually are in spiritual prison in their mind, especially our people. So with that being said, getting past and waiting on the preacher, y'all have a wonderful, 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 blessed night.